I'm starting to think it's time for new tires in my life, John.
What'd you do?
Well, a couple things going on. So the Excursion, I've got almost 100,000 miles on the tires on that thing, so they're getting kind of thin.
Nice.
But the other day, we're trying to rush home from work. I'd gone from, my day job over to my little part-time job, and I'm just town south of us, and the fiance, I'm working at the same place that the fiance works at, and she takes off before me, and she calls me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. As you know, my fiance is deaf.
Indeed.
And so when she calls me on the phone, you know that it's
a little
usually
concerning.
Yeah, it's usually something
just
pretty.
a little.
It's usually something pretty serious. So she is yelling into the phone. I think my tire fell off my car or my whole wheel or something. I'm just up the road. You need to come right now. So tires on her vehicle. She's got that lifted Chevy Tracker with 30s. The entire tread peeled off of one of hers.
Oh, so she needs tires, not you. That's her problem. Let her figure it out. Kidding, of course.
I think we both need tires. So I think I'm going to be in the market for a couple of sets of tires pretty soon here.
Fun.
Maybe our listeners on 4x4 Talk or something can recommend. We both have BFG all-terrains. I think we're going to stick with those, but maybe they can recommend something different. We're looking for, personally, I'm running 285 75 16s, and then she's running 30 by 950s.
I happen to have a set of those.
We need to talk.
Okay.
It's time to hit the trail, lock in those hubs, and throw it into low range. Because you are listening to Wheelin' with Keith and Johnny Orange, broadcasting from the Thin Line Off-Road Studio. They're here to talk about 4x4s, trucks, and everything to do with enjoying the great outdoors. Buckle up. Here's your hosts, Keith and Johnny Orange.
I can't in good conscience sell you those tires, man. They're over their 10-year DOT life. Over 100,000 miles, and Project XJ needs them for the short time being.
Okay, well, why does Project XJ need them? So you can wheel it around, or you can drive it on them? Or?
I've got to move it.
You're going to drive around with tires that have 100,000 miles on them?
Yeah, there's still like half tread left, man.
What kind of
Michelin LTXs?
Okay.
Those things are sweet. They're garbage off-road, but man, are they nice tires on the road.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, let's not bash Michelin too bad here.
Oh no, I love them.
I'm
saying they're long life tires.
Okay.
I know a guy who had over 110,000 miles on them, and they still had tread left.
Wait a minute. So Michelin LTXs?
Yes.
Do they still make them?
They do, but it's like an LTX2 now or something like that, I think.
I might have to look into those for the Excursion.
If it's on the road a lot, I would. They're really high wear tires. They're more expensive than your normal tires, but well worth it in my opinion.
Okay.
I'm running the Goodyear Wrangler Duratrax. A little more aggressive tread, but I made it through 2 winters and 2-wheel drive on that Wrangler without an issue. Just plowing through 8 inches of snow like it's nothing. They're great tires.
That's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. So in news, how's Project XJ coming along? I saw on 4x4 Talk that you've done a lot of cleaning and parts collecting. And
yes, yeah. I realized that once I start getting rolling with this, I'm going to need all the parts together. So I started hunting through the corners of the garage to get everything that I can remember that I bought for it. And getting it all in one place, so kind of staging stuff out. Got the donor transmission all cleaned up. It's ready to go in. What else have I done? I've ordered almost every single part I can think of. I put the last order in today for pilot bearing and a slave cylinder for the clutch. So the only thing left now, I think 10 years ago when I first started buying parts for this, I bought the wrong trans mount.
You're probably not going to return it after 10 years.
No, I'm pretty sure it's only a 30-day return policy.
Okay, all right.
Let alone the box is gone.
Well, so. I've known you a very, very long time, and typically, no offense, but you're kind of a procrastinator with some things sometimes.
Yeah.
And so what's the motivation here behind getting Project XJ finally some progress in?
A couple things. I've noticed my diesel Wrangler's not so good in the winter with cold weather and starting a lot.
Okay.
So I want to get something back for that, something a little better for traveling with dive gear. And I was kind of given an ultimatum of if it's not done by September, then it's got to go out of the garage. So more so that as far as motivation than anything else.
Well, there's a lot of wheelers out there and just car guys and girls in general that have gotten caught in that trap before.
Oh,
They've started a project.
Yep.
And they've lost motivation, money, time, whatever it may be. Yep. And the project gets shoved in the back of the garage or out in the field or in the back corner. So I'm guilty of that. In fact, you never asked me how my projects are coming.
Well, because I see them with weeds growing around them and dirt and dust.
That's pretty bad, isn't it? Yeah, I still haven't touched the axle on the 60. So.
Yeah. No offense. We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about that a little bit today. Like, how do you get motivation to continue on a project? What causes the project to drop off? What happens? So, okay? So you personally, we're talking about Project XJ. What happened? Why 10 years ago, 9 years ago, whatever it was? Why did you all of a sudden mothball Project XJ?
Well, in the very beginning, I was still going to school and had a part-time job. So it was a matter of time. I had some money saved up. I was buying parts as I could, but I never had the time to work on it. And at the time, it was stored at one of your previous places of residence, which was about 40 minutes from my house at the time. And between school, work, driving, and all that, I just never had time to do it. When you did move, it did come home. Mm-hmm. And then I was in school full-time and working full-time. So, again, I had money but no time. And then I left one of the jobs I was at, was still going to school, so was working on it. And winter hit. It was too cold to go outside and work on anything. And it just kind of became storage.
And life got in the way.
Yep, it snowballed. And, there's still a ton of stuff stored in the back right now. But that's slowly getting sifted out over the next, last few days and next, upcoming weeks.
Well, I'm really glad, though, to see on, 4x4 Talk, the pictures of your progress there. It's looking good.
Yeah, I need to step up the pace a bit.
Well, yeah, but I barely even remember what the thing looked like. The garage is looking good.
Oh, thank you. It's the cleanest it's been in probably 4 or 5 years.
Well, hey, that's good because instead of wrenching out in the driveway like you've been doing before.
Yeah.
Didn't you do your entire diesel engine swap out in the driveway?
On an angled driveway, yes. The entirety of the swap, yes.
Okay, well then, here you go. Why with the diesel swap Wrangler? You worked on that from the moment that you blew your engine to the moment that it was running and driving. You worked on that pretty steadily. So how did that project end up getting all the motivation?
Well, that was my daily driver at the time, and in the short term, that needed less work to get back on the road. I quickly found out that was not the case, as everything I removed led to one or two more things I had to fix.
So out of necessity, you had to get it running again. So you
exactly.
had something to go
and
to
get it out of the way for the other Jeep. I was borrowing my dad's truck. Very, very terrible gas mileage.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that done. And I wanted my Jeep back, man. I went a whole 2 summers without having a Jeep to take the top off on, and I just felt terrible.
Well, I'm glad to hear at least that I didn't hear you say in any of your explanation as to why the project got put to the back burner. I didn't hear you say that you lost interest. I didn't hear you say that you couldn't decide which way to go with the build. Those are probably the only other 2 main reasons that you hear people, besides just general life getting in the way.
Yeah.
People do that. And I think that's actually even more so than life getting in the way is people lose focus on on the project, or they lose interest.
Yeah.
And I guess if you just truly lose interest in a project, it's time to, instead of just collecting it, just sell it.
Yeah.
Get it
absolutely.
out of there. But if you lose focus as to which way you're going to go, and you're hemming and hawing and going, okay, do I want to do this or do I want to do that? Then you need to figure out a way to focus. Have you found, like with your Jeep projects, have you found a good way that you can share with our listeners that you focus basically you make a decision. Because I guess that is one thing about you. I've known you for a very long time. Like I said, you seem to have an idea right out of the bat that you're going to do something a certain way. And then you might overthink how you're going to do it
constantly.
But but you pretty much stick to that plan. You're not. I've never heard you say, okay, well, I'm going to swap this engine. Oh no, wait, maybe I'm going to do this. No, wait, maybe I'm going to do this. You seem to come up with. So how do you maintain that focus as to your original build plan?
Well, what I do when I'm looking to start anything, be it a gun build project, a Jeep project, or anything I'm working on, I look at the end. So I look ahead, see what do I want to do with it, where do I want to go with it, and kind of work backwards from there. So that way when I'm working on something, in the back of my mind always is the end. So that makes it easier to make a decision like Project XJ. At the time when I first started it, I wanted a trail rig, very good for trail, but still good for a daily driver. So that's why I didn't want to do like a 1-ton axle swap off the rip and run 35s or 37s. I wanted something that's mild build.
Makes sense.
Worked backwards, and everything at the time led to stock.
Okay.
So I kind of did the best of stock with that build. And every evolution from that was, what can I bolt on that's stock I can get cheap to make it better?
So it's almost like you picked a theme and you ran with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's really good to do, and that's a popular thing that you see a lot of magazine builds and a lot of Instagram builds, where they'll be building a Jeep or some truck or whatever it is, and they're building it with a theme and idea, like this is going to be like a rat rod, or this is going to be, I'm trying to think of a good example there, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, you look at some of the vehicles. Was it Peterson's magazine? Mm-hmm. They build stuff for their ultimate adventure trip they do every year.
Yeah.
Same thing. They find an end goal, what they want, and they work backwards.
That's true. That's true.
And that's what I've always found. You have that goal in mind. How do I get it to this? How do I make what I have able to do this?
Okay.
And like I said, that's what I do with anything. I know where I want to go with it, what I want to do with it. That enables me to make decisions on those parts, or even short term, like a decision I'm facing right now. I have an issue with Project XJ and the trans mount. There's options for it. I really wanted to go with a polyurethane mount, but in the short term, a stock mount might just be best.
Yeah, well, and if you make it at least to a point where it's an easily boltable, not a custom product that you can undo.
And that's the only reason I'd make that compromise at this point in the build is it gets it done. And it's a very easy part to swap out and fix that later.
Okay, yeah. So. Trans mount's pretty simple to do.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all. I find myself doing more of the. You can't really figure out which way I want to go with a certain build. For an example, I've been wheeling that FJ60 Land Cruiser now for going on 6 years, I think, and I have kept it pretty much as I purchased it, which was with a 3-inch Old Man Emu lift, and I've done modifications since I made my own winch bumper, put my own winch on it, ended up putting some stops so I could take and put the 37s on it without them rubbing. But I keep going, okay, well, am I going to take and put a 1-ton axles under it? Am I going to do say an FJ80 rear axle and then widen a front axle, and I keep going back and forth in my head as to what would be the best option. Now, what has worked best has been the stock drivetrain that's been re-geared, but I've had a lot of rear axle issues.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. So I keep blowing up the rear axle. So I'm trying to figure out in my mind, do I rebuild the rear axle yet again, or do I look for an upgrade now? And I think that's been my procrastination on that project. And I've been really busy at work lately. We're in the busy season right now. So, and then of course with Inline Off Road, I'm taking it. I'm, tailing customers.
Sort of a similar decision I had. You might remember this in the beginning with Project XJ, the rear end. It had a Dana 35, drum brakes, weak axle, not the greatest for an off-road. Fine for daily driver, Not so great for, moderate off-road. So the decision at that time was a Ford 8.8 rear axle. That gave me the disc brakes, better gears, the, the track lock differential they call it? Just a lot of options. And it was an easy bolt-on, well, not bolt-on, but an easy upgrade, with minimal welding, minimal fabrication to make it work.
That's part of the problem that I have is there's nothing that's an easy upgrade for the 60. Yeah. It's got that offset rear axle, so if I was to take something out of a different vehicle, I'm going to have to retube it. I'm going to be looking custom axle shafts, and I still like that I can fix it with stock parts right now.
That was the other thing with mine, like you said, stock parts.
Yeah.
If I break an axle shaft, I can go to the store and get one. I'll order it at least.
So, I've been trying to motivate you to go with the XJ and get Project XJ done. Mm-hmm. You got to motivate me a little bit too. I want to take it to Wheels in the Woods. We've got Wheels in the Woods coming up September 28th. Another bit of news on that. Mm-hmm. I believe we now have all of our sponsors in for Wheels in the Woods.
Excellent.
And I would like to do some shout outs right now for those.
Sounds good.
Right now we are sponsored by Michigan Specialty Coatings, and they do fantastic high-end like flooring for garages and for commercial buildings. Nice. And they can do all sorts of crazy custom designs. Their specialty is more like the big commercial stuff. So, if there's like a dealership that wants to do their logo in the floor or something like that.
That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff online, and they've got a Facebook page. And
I wonder, could they put the Wheelin' logo again in epoxy on my garage floor?
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Yes, they could do that. I don't know what it costs. You have to call them and find out. So that's one of our sponsors. Another one of our sponsors is Codette's True Value Hardware. They have 3 hardware stores, one in Livonia, one in Fowlerville, and one in Williamston. And they're big in their community events, and there's a lot of people that are into 4x4s out there. Sweet. And one of the things that, and you might recognize the last name, Codette, it's the same last name as myself. That's my older brother. But he wanted to support the
nice. That's cool.
The event here.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. And, go to True Value, check it out, tell them that you listen to Wheelin'.
Yeah, for sure.
He has a great prices, I've noticed when I've gone out there, on some of the specialty fasteners and bolts. And,
really?
And I need to take you out there sometime.
Yes.
His walls and walls of like chrome hardware and all sorts of crazy stuff. And,
awesome.
Yeah, so... and then we have Foxfire Fixins and ABC Home Commercial Services.
Sweet.
So I think that's it on our sponsors right now. But
cool.
Thumbprint News is sponsoring us as well. So,
excellent.
Lots of sponsors for Wheels in the Woods.
Dude,
September 28th. I'd like to get everybody out there.
Absolutely. I know a lot of people I've been talking to have interest, and parts I've been selling, mentioning it to people, and they're interested. One guy wants to bring a few buddies out.
Awesome. Have you sold many parts from that parts truck that you
only 3 or 4. I've had some tentative things. I have one guy who wants some stuff once I'm not ripping the suspension out. I need it to roll, but he wants the axles once I get that ripped out. And then there's some stuff left. I've sold a few things, but more so I've kept what I wanted from it.
Yeah. Well,
So
I
that
already
was the
warned
goal.
you of that.
Oh, yeah.
So you can have enough parts to build yet another XJ?
No, just the one that I have, just Project XJ.
Okay.
I probably could have started a second build, but no.
Well, there is another problem that a lot of people who work on rigs and even antique cars run into. They go and they purchase and they heirloom, whatever it is. They've got a vehicle they're working on, and they purchase a parts rig that ends up being too nice, and now they've got 2 vehicles, and they battle back and forth which one to do.
I was in that fence too. The donor Jeep had a carbureted 4.0 conversion, and it took a little bit of doing, but my dad was able to help me, and we got it running.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's a running, driving, carbureted 4.0 Cherokee.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah, it was really unique. I really wanted to do something with it, but I couldn't justify it. I'm still juggling, continual upgrades to the Wrangler, Which reminds me, I got everything I need to finish the 4-wheel drive repairs. So I'll hopefully in the next couple weeks have 4-wheel drive done on the Wrangler finally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But yeah, I'm juggling that project and Project XJ. And then the idea is once those are both done, I want to start staging for the Commando build.
You got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah, the Commando's probably going to have to wait until I get my own garage, though, I think.
I imagine.
Yes, I don't think pulling another Jeep in once these two are done is... I might get shot.
By who?
My mom.
Yeah, about time to, John, why don't you just buy one of those places that is like a 8,000 square foot pole barn and there's nothing else on the property, and then just like get a camper and live in the pole barn. And just have like, so basically have like a 400 square foot house and, like 7,600
garage.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's what you should do, man.
Yeah. Then I'm going to have to fill it with tools and more projects and...
I'm not seeing an issue here.
Money.
Well, that's just a tool too,
Yeah, I suppose.
You just need to get more of it. So why don't we take a quick break, buddy, and then...
Sounds good.
All right.
The following is a public health alert from ABC Home and Commercial Services regarding bats. Bat guano contains airborne viruses and fungi that are spread throughout the home through heating and cooling air circulation. If inhaled, it can infect your respiratory system and cause anything from flu-like symptoms up to and including death. Bats can also soil your insulation, causing thousands of dollars in replacement cost. To have them removed from your home, call ABC Home and Commercial Services at 810-794-5678. That's 810-794-5678.
Welcome back to Wheelin' with Keith and Johnny Orange. Today we are talking about project motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. During the break, I was thinking about something else I've been procrastinating on, and I really haven't decided how to handle this. Both my wheelin' rig, my FJ60, needs some body work, as does my tow rig, which is my Excursion. It's got some rust issues.
Duct tape's no longer covering it?
Yeah, no, it's... I think I'm past the duct tape point. I might be to the point where it's the spray foam and, yeah.
That's pretty bad, bro.
Yeah, I know. So, part of my procrastination with the 60 is, do I take and... I love the patina look of the rig with the crushed root beer brown sheet metal, but now the driver's side doors are so bad. If you go way back on the Wheelin' page, you actually can see a video of what happened on a winter run last year. And, I would love to keep that color. So I don't know if I'm going to try to repaint a couple of doors or if I'm going to try to peel the skins off of these doors and put them onto different shells. I haven't figured it out yet.
I mean, there's options.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I'm procrastinating. I just got to do it.
I had a friend of mine many years ago. He wanted to get the outline for procrastinator on tattooed on his chest.
And not finish it?
Yeah, and only get it half filled in.
I like it.
That would be great.
Yeah, you're right. Like I have a lot of issues with procrastinate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
That'd be really cool.
Well, and with the Excursion, it's getting to the point where it's going to need some rocker work, which is common on the Excursions. I did buy 4 doors in Florida that are completely rust-free. Got them super cheap at one of those pull-your-own places. So
nice. Same issues I'm battling with Project XJ.
Yeah,
except
rust.
I have 2x6 steel tubing to replace the rocker panels with.
Well, you see,
solid.
Even there, that I'm deciding whether I want to do that on both of those vehicles, on the Excursion and on the FJ60. Do I want to go with stock rocker panels, or do I want to tube it all out? Now, the FJ60, I think I'm going to tube it. The Excursion, do I really want to start moving that over to wheel and rig territory, or do I want to keep it all stock?
I mean, again, there's pros and cons to both. I'm very pro build it stout.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah. I mean, if I could build it and still get the mileage that I get out of it, lifted and all that stuff, I'd probably do it. But then even then, I'm pulling tools in and out of it at work every single day. And
you're going to beat it up.
Well, there's that. But then, having it stock height is kind of nice.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
So, yeah, I don't know what to do there, man. I'm feeling old and short when I try to, even though I'm not short, just jumping in and out of that thing all the time. And
yeah.
So, if I lifted it 4 inches, it's like, it's 4 more inches now. I got to.
Yeah.
So procrastination.
Yeah.
Procrastination.
Yep.
You're not very good at like helping me to get rid of my procrastination though. Like you gotta like help motivate.
You got to look at your end goal. I mean, what do you want to keep it on the road or do you want to go off road with it?
Well, you see, there's the problem. See, you can
I
look.
can't answer that question.
See, you've got your end goals.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't.
Well, come up with
I
some.
just take each day at a time, man.
Well, stop.
Just stop.
Look ahead.
Just stop.
Yeah, plan ahead. It's easy.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So you got a nice retirement set up.
Hell no.
Oh, okay. All right.
You can believe that, right, producer Andrew?
Yeah. I don't think you just believe that, but so yeah. I mean, how far are you looking at it? Do you only look ahead with your projects?
No, I look ahead at the completion. What I want to do with them when they're done.
No. Everything in life. Do you look at forward?
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I look ahead like with, fixing up this house that I have and everything, but...
So you've got more priorities ahead of what I do. So it's
How
understandably
so?
a little more... Well, you have a house, family, all that good stuff.
Okay.
I don't have any
Family,
of that.
family. You don't have a family?
I mean, I got my parents, my brother, and my sister.
Well, that's a family.
Well, yeah, but they're not directly affected really by anything I do.
You want to bet?
I mean, I know they're not.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Aside from me taking up the garage and big oil spot.
Your
in front of
mom
where I
has
parked
not...
the Jeep.
Your elderly mother has not been able to put... her vehicle in her garage in the winter. She has to get out of her car in the middle of the winter, and she has to, try to walk all tenderly across the icy driveway, and she's going to slip, and she's going to break a hip, and it's all going to be because somebody took the last 10 years. And,
Boy, am I glad she doesn't listen to podcasts.
Actually, I was talking to her the other day. I ran into her, and she's like, "Where do I watch your podcast?" And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I want to watch the podcast with you and John." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean watch?" I'm like, "Listen to it." She's like, "I want to watch it." And I'm like, We're not on YouTube yet." I'm like, "Eventually we probably will be."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, how do I watch the old episodes?" I'm like, "Do you even know what a podcast is?" That's what I said to her. And she's like, "Well, no." So,
I thought I had done a good job explaining it to her.
no,
Apparently I failed.
you did a terrible job.
I'm sorry, Mom.
I'm like, "It's like a radio show." And she's like, "Well, like what station's it on?" And I'm like, "No.
It's not yet."
It's on the internet." You
Yeah.
know? I just got a blank
For those
stare.
wondering, it's wheelinradio.com, no G, and you can listen to all of our past episodes.
Yeah, you can. Actually, speaking of which, and this is a technical thing that producer Andrew's going to have to look at one of these days. I was messing around on some of the other apps to see like how many episodes that we have.
Yeah.
Some of the other apps only have like 5 or 6 of our episodes.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
bummer.
know. Like Apple and I think Stitcher. So
Apple has them.
Okay.
All the other ones, you just have to go to like more episodes or previous episodes.
See, I couldn't find that. So the best way, and this is actually, man, this is a great segue here. The best way for people to look at all of our episodes is to go directly to wheelinradio.com.
Yeah.
Or if you're using an app, go to Podbean, because that's our initial uploading. So download Podbean, which is a podcasting.
I actually just downloaded that.
Oh, you just...
Well, I listened through the website. I didn't know there was a mobile app for it.
Okay, so
now I have the mobile app and the downloads.
All right, so yeah, you got to download Podbean, and
Yeah.
then you can listen to all of our episodes are on there, and all of our End of the Trail episodes. So, for our listeners who may be wondering what that is, you don't even see them on the Podbean app until you are what's called a patron, kind of like Patreon, and you sign up for that. And for as little as $1 a month, there's different levels. As little as $1 a month, you can listen to our End of the Trail show. John, how would you describe our End of the Trail show?
Politically correct on here. A good time.
Yeah, so we have a good
There's
time.
nothing bad, but it's a little more open, a little less scripted, less pre-planned.
Yeah, so what we've been doing for approximately the last 8 or 9 episodes,
It's a wind down.
yeah, it's a wind down
Yeah.
show. We call it the end of the trail, and we talk about how the episode went.
Yeah.
A lot of times we kind of continue the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because we remember things and we're like, oh man, we should have
Yeah.
talked about that. Well, all right, we're going to talk about here. And like I said, for as little as $1 a month, you can
Get access to all that.
get access to all
Yeah.
of that. And it
Don't
does.
they get a decal or something with that too? Or is that the next level?
I think the $5 level.
Okay, yeah.
And so, the nice thing about that, if you become a patron on there, like I said, it'll give you notifications that there's new episodes coming up, and that's really nice too.
Oh, yeah.
But it helps to support just the little expenses we have, because
yeah,
we have monthly
absolutely.
expenses to keep the podcast going.
Yep.
We have equipment expenses. So listeners, please consider going to, it's not Patreon. We will eventually have one of those as well, but go to podbean.com or download the Podbean app. That's BEAN, PODBEAN as in Nancy. Download that, and then you can, what is that?
That looks like an old Roadster.
Oh, a T-Bucket Roadster just went
Nice.
by. Nice, very cool. Download the Podbean app, and you'll see on there it says become a patron, and you can click on that, and it'll tell you the levels, and you can support us, and it helps out a lot. So, all right, enough of the plug on that. But what were we talking about before we started plugging on that? All right.
I lost it.
Well, we're still talking. We're still talking about procrastination.
It's Project Motivations.
Yeah, project
Something to do with that.
project motivations. Okay, well, let's talk about how do you ward off. How do you, when you're on a project, how do you keep yourself from losing interest?
That's a good one. And I don't have a very good answer on that.
You don't?
No, I mean there's so many things that can get in the way that cause you to kind of lose focus.
Okay.
It can be difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I kind of have the end goal in mind, but I mean there are days, I'll be struggling to choose between parts or pick where, what direction I want to go with something. And I start looking at all the options, and I just, I get a headache, I get frustrated, and I just shut it down and don't go back to it for a few days.
Okay, fair enough. I think with me, I do have a type of an end goal, and what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I am going to this event. Mm-hmm. And because obviously with our 4x4s and being hobbyists, we're using these vehicles at events.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to be ready for Bruce's Chili Run, or I'm going to be ready for this event that's at Silver Lake, or whatever it is. And I usually find myself, though, even knowing that it's going to be coming up months and months in advance, I find myself in that mad rush the last week or two, and I think that's a common thing.
Absolutely. Any purpose-built rig like that, you're going to have not problems, but concerns with that.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
There are guys out there that don't do that mad rush mode, that they keep their rig in tip-top shape, and they're always ready to go. But I'm that type of guy that it's okay, it's getting close, need to do this now.
Yeah. And I think that's going to throw together some of the better stuff. I mean, you can dump $100,000 into these things all day and come out with a really nice rig.
Yeah.
But it's those last minute things, I like building. I like tinkering with stuff.
Yeah.
You have that purpose. I need it done this date for this event. What do I need to do to get it there? I want to go to this after. What can I wait on? Yeah,
true enough. On my FJ60 project, one thing I can think of is we were going to be going up to a snow run, and we had previously done a snow run with it, and at the time we had really, really junk tires on it, and we had gotten stuck just in basically snow and ice several times. I said, well, we're going to need a winch on this thing.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't like any of the aftermarket winch bumper options, and I frankly was pretty much broke. And I said, man, I still need we had enough money for the trip. I think we'd already prepaid for it and everything. But I said, I need to have, and I had a winch, but I didn't have a way to mount it. And so I had this old piece of 6x6 tube steel, and I just started cutting it and bending it and shaping it into what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I get compliments to this day. I built that thing in 2 days.
Nice.
And people look at that thing and they go, "Where did you buy that? I want one of those bumpers." And it's like, well, that's a thin line off-road special. Oh, do you make them for other people? Not yet, but you never know.
That's been my favorite part of any build, any project, anything is what do I have that I can make work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've used that philosophy in every aspect of my life at work. Different video productions I've been on, the diving stuff.
Yeah.
We have an issue on the boat. We had one a couple weekends ago. A piece of the gear was falling apart. And it's like, well, not the breathing gear. Nothing like that. It was a piece of a harness that was bad. So it's
personal diving gear.
Yes.
I was
Not
thinking,
the boat, not the
I was
boat.
thinking like the gearbox on the boat, and I'm like, was it going to sink or like?
No. Oh, there's Roadster again.
Yeah, same Roadster.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it was just this it was a customer, and a customer who works for a shop.
Okay.
So it's like, well, what can I do to help him with this? So thought about it, and I had a few things rigged up for something else. It's like, that'll work.
Duct
That'll
tape.
get him by. No.
Zip ties.
Nope. Marine. What was it? Heavy duty marine grade bungee and a couple of bolt snaps.
And it worked for what you needed?
It worked beautifully.
And it didn't risk safety or anything?
Nope, not at all. There was nothing permanent about it, nothing dangerous about the way it was done. The individual was aware. And like I said, the individual was a higher certified diver in the industry. So, knew what to keep an eye out for. It was just kind of a secondary safety net, so to speak.
Your inner MacGyver came out.
Exactly. Yeah, I listen to that dude a lot.
Hey, you got to do that.
You could be in any, and that holds true with, even off-roading. You break apart, all right, I got to get out. What do I have at my disposal that I can do that with?
True.
So if you train yourself on that, like I said, it carries over into every aspect of life.
It really does because, and you're right, every single aspect of life.
Oh, yeah.
If you think, if you're in the mindset all the time that everything has to be brand new and shiny, you're going to go broke fast.
Oh, yeah. It's great if you have the budget, but I'd say probably 98, 99% of people don't.
Exactly. So, I do the same thing. I get up, 4:20 in the morning, and I'll wander out, and I look in the fridge, and I go, okay, we've got no leftovers from last night. What am I going to take to lunch today?
Yeah.
And I've come up with the most creative meals out of stuff I have found out of the fridge, and it's just cold meals, and I take it to work. And
Absolutely.
Your inner MacGyver comes out. That's not fixing something, but you get what I'm saying.
We had a video shoot, and we were using a confetti cannon for one of the final shots. We only got one shot at this.
I think it's pronounced Confederate.
Whatever.
A Confederate
shot pieces
cannon.
of confetti.
Oh, I thought you meant like a cannon from the Confederate, like from the Civil War.
No, but that would be awesome. I got to remember that for next time.
Okay, so you had a confetti.
Confetti cannon.
Weird.
Yep, and it's powered by a CO2 tank.
Okay.
Well, everybody forgot to bring the gasket that holds the valve fittings together so it doesn't leak CO2 everywhere.
Uh-huh.
We're in the middle of a barn in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, well, what are we going to do?
Do you not like the trees?
No, I love the trees.
Well, the trees want the CO2. Just let it leak.
But we're in a barn. We needed to get a shot that it wouldn't have worked any other way.
Okay, so what'd you do?
Well, I went down and, it's an old barn. I'm looking around, see what we have that I could make one out of. And what I ended up doing, I took the bottle cap off a water bottle, cut a little hole in the middle, cut the rim off the outside, and it fit perfect.
All right.
And it was a soft enough material. It crimped down nice and tight when you tighten the fitting, and it worked great. I carried it on as a good luck charm now.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you got to do, man.
Absolutely.
I don't even know why I thought of this. Speaking of just trailside repairs, we've talked about a lot of those on several episodes. Years ago, I was on a motorcycle trip. Okay, we were on enduro cross sport motorcycles, and we were driving around the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Okay, and we're going down the road, and I don't remember if it was my motorcycle or the guy I was riding with, but one of our bikes, all of a sudden, this big giant nut that holds on the sprocket had backed off, and the sprocket was all loose, the chain's flopping around. We're out in the middle of nowhere, okay? We are on a paved road, but we are probably 20 miles to the next town.
Nice.
Middle of nowhere. And so we pull over, and we're looking at this thing, And I said, "Oh man, I got this." And he says, "What?" He says, "Where are we going to find a wrench that big?" And I pull out of my bag, I got a pipe wrench, like for working on plumbing. And he looks at me and he says, "Why are you carrying a pipe wrench on a motorcycle trip?" And I'm like, "Man, I didn't know what I was going to need, so I've got all sorts of tools in here."
Absolutely.
They're like, I mean, what could you possibly? But it was big enough. We were able to jam it back on with a pipe wrench.
Nice.
And we got to the next town and got the right tool and got it fixed. But
I've got a whole bag of tools that it's just some. I know I need this. I know I need this. I could probably have a use for that.
I always have a pipe wrench in the back of my vehicle because
I don't, but I'm gonna.
you can use them for all sorts of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You can use them for. We used one at work for as a hammer today. Now you're not supposed to, but it works.
It's only suggested that the tool's built and designed for this purpose. You can use it for other stuff.
All right, before we go to break, one more story. So when I was a kid, and I was taking in high school, I was taking shop classes and auto shop, And our teacher, very first day, comes up and he takes this screwdriver and he holds it up in front of the whole class and he says, "Can anyone?" It is a flat screwdriver. He says, "Can anyone tell me what this is?" Now, I'm pretty smart on my feet. I'm pretty quick-witted sometimes. Not always, Sometimes, like last episode where I kind of fell asleep a couple times, but I was pretty tired. But so, anyways, I'm pretty quick-witted. And I knew that the answer he wanted is that it's only a flat screwdriver and that's all it's supposed to be used for. So I'm like, "Yes, sir." I said, "I know exactly what that is. It's a scraper. It's a pry bar. It's something to poke holes with." And I said everything but flat screwdriver.
Nice.
Oh my God. He just looks at me and it was this look of death.
Was that your first day of detention?
No, but he looks at me and he says, "You're going to be the one." He's like, "I already know." And I'm just like, yeah. So,
and then he went into everything.
And then he went into his speech about how it's only supposed to be used as a flat screwdriver.
Nice.
So, but all right, buddy, let's take a break and then we'll talk a little bit after that.
Sounds good. See you in a bit.
Hey, it sounds like it's time to swap out that old engine for something better, John.
Yeah, man, but I have so much into my trans and transfer case set up already. I don't want to change those too.
Sounds like you need to call Quick Draw Brand Adapters. They specialize in conversion bell housings for nearly all diesel and gasoline engines, including the new 2.8R Cummins.
I like weird engines. I want something different.
Then you definitely need to visit QuickDrawBrand.com today. They have those hard-to-find parts. They also have used diesel engines available. You can call them at 513-446-9654.
Cool, I'll do that. See what they have. Thanks.
All right, welcome back to Wheelin'. I am Johnny Orange.
No, I'm Johnny Orange.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or am I Keith now? I don't want to be Keith.
Yeah. No one ever wants to be Keith.
He's bald and ugly.
Oh, thank you. Love you too, buddy. So, we've been talking about procrastination and not getting projects ready. And, just thinking of this, there's some other things. Beautiful fiance, she has a little Chevy Tracker lifted I was mentioning earlier in the episode. And I hate to mention this, but I probably shouldn't even say this on air because this is pretty sad being a 4x4 guy and running a 4x4 business.
Everybody look out for gunshots.
Yeah, no, her four-wheel drive went out a little over a year ago, and it's a pretty simple fix, and I keep forgetting to do it.
That's all right. I haven't put my front drive shaft back in 2 years.
Do you have one of those Bluetooth drive shafts?
No.
No?
No.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I have no idea, to be perfectly honest.
Where you don't have a front drive shaft. Like the show trucks that drive around, and they're all jacked up, and they've got the the big rims, big tires, all that stuff, but then they have no front drive shaft.
Yeah, there's another name for that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I am thinking that maybe by the time this episode airs, I'm thinking about putting up on 4x4 Talk. I have noticed a lot of trends in the off-road, not so much the off-road, but in the truck and 4x4 community lately that are, in my opinion, now maybe I'm just getting to be a crotchety old man, but in my opinion are counterproductive to the idea of owning a four-wheel drive. Things such as, stretch tires on wide rims, stacks, and then just some of the accessories that seem unnecessary. And you all right over there, buddy?
Yeah, I forgot about something. Just ignore me.
Just ignore. I can't ignore you while we're running a podcast. Just ignore me.
I'm almost done.
You're almost done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny Orange is over here texting away furiously on his phone. He's probably who knows what he's doing. He's probably buying something on Facebook Marketplace that he shouldn't buy.
No. Something else. I'm entered in a raffle I'm supposed to watch for my name on, and I totally forgot, and it's almost over. So I may have missed out winning some stuff.
Oh my God, it's like gambling, man.
A little bit, but it's free. So
okay, all right, fair enough. But yeah, maybe we should do something like that. We should do like a watch thing on this.
We could
sometime.
Yeah.
But back to our topic of procrastination, because we're procrastinating on the procrastination topic.
This is true.
Here.
So it's a very literal episode.
It really is. It really is. Of course, we've talked about some of the motivations behind it, and I guess really that it's different for everybody, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I will throw up a by the time this episode airs or when this episode airs, we'll throw up a thing asking what causes you to procrastinate on your I like that. Your build. And I'd like to hear, genuinely, I would like to hear. We've had a lot of nice activity on 4x4 Talk lately and some of the stuff on Wheelin'.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the guys out there, we haven't heard from in a bit, and I wonder if they're procrastinating on their rigs.
Yeah.
What's going on there. And, like I said, life gets in the way for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And, but I'm enjoying Project XJ's
thank you.
updates over, they've been putting on Wheelin', posting as Wheelin', but whatever.
Yeah, I'll fix that eventually.
That works out.
Hopefully the next set of pictures will actually be progress on the vehicle itself, not just staging.
Yeah.
So I have probably about half the floor pan piece made ready to weld in. And I kept looking at the floor the other day at this piece that I was going to have to cut and form up to make it a more complex piece to make it fit.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was moving some parts around and found that piece that I apparently had made up many years ago and I forgot about.
Why didn't you just... Floor pans are available for those things. Why didn't you just buy floor pans?
At the time, I didn't have the money. So
Okay.
I bought the floor, just heavy gauge steel to repair it and make them myself.
Uh-huh.
So I still have all that. And the problem is, since I replaced the rocker panels, it's not going to be an exact fit.
Well, it's just self-tappers and duct taper for.
I have one Jeep held together with that. I don't want to. This is all going to be plug welds and painted to look nice and done properly.
Are you painting the outside of it yourself too?
Eventually, not right away.
Okay.
I had plans to do that in a tinted bed liner on the whole outside.
Oh, okay.
Time and budget does not allow for that, so it's going to be flat black with blue doors for a while.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Why are the fenders off on it, by the way? I'm looking at the pictures right now on 4x4 Talk, and that's a Facebook group, by the way, listeners. If you're not in it, join it. We a lot of times talk about stuff afterwards on there, but I'm looking at Project XJ right now.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there no fenders or front end on it?
So the front end was taken off to do some of the engine work.
Okay, fair enough.
And the fenders came off as part of that and to get easier access to the door hinges. And there was some work that I had to do behind it. I needed access behind those panels.
Did you put crank windows in it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
You mentioned that in one
it had
episode.
electric windows. I'm eliminating those, and I put manual crank windows in there.
Okay.
So nice. I found a set of doors that was completely rust-free. I mean, absolutely mint in a scrapyard.
I remember, though. That came from the local junkyard, didn't
Yep.
they? And you were saying that was kind of a rare setup or something, wasn't it? Or at least the...
More rare, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not totally uncommon, but in that good a shape for that year, it was astounding.
I remember they were really nice condition doors.
Yeah.
So.
The biggest issue, not issue, more personal preference, they did not have the vent windows. The original doors had the little vent windows in the front, and I really like those.
Oh, you like the vent windows?
I love them, yeah.
Yeah, so you can flick your cigarettes out and stuff?
No. Hey, being environmentally responsible, you're supposed to dispose of properly.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, I don't smoke, but
I know you don't.
I like the option.
Yeah.
So I had originally another set of just totally mismatched doors, missing panels, missing pieces I got for free from someone. So I stole the vent windows from that to put in these doors.
Okay.
And then I got rid of those doors. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see that somebody is not procrastinating on their project. I am still procrastinating.
I did for about 8 years, but
Yeah, well, okay. I mean,
but again, certain things got in the way.
yeah,
So,
you can start really getting on my case if I ever wait 8 years. Although, I mean, in reality, I have projects that have been even longer. I haven't touched my my 55 Chevy from high school in probably 12 years.
didn't you
and
catch the electrical on fire in there? or
No,
something?
that was a 56 I don't have anymore.
Oh.
But no, the 55, it needs a carburetor. It
Gotcha.
needs some TLC. And and then I've been thinking about bringing, and this is another one that I'm procrastinating on. Now, tell you what, let me just get your opinion on this one.
Okay.
So, I don't know, have you ever seen, or do you ever remember, I've pretty much always had it in dry storage since I've known you. I have a 53 Chevy pickup truck. Have you ever seen that?
I have not.
The black one? Okay. So I've got that in storage. It's a 53 Chevy 3100 two-wheel drive pickup truck.
Nice.
The transmission is shot in it. I have an S10 5-speed that would bolt right in, which would, it still has a stock, straight 6 in it. But, I am debating between making the truck look as absolute stock as possible, keeping stock type engine. I don't think it's the original engine. I think it was replaced at one time. But and using it like kind of a fun work truck. Or do I do a 4-wheel drive conversion?
How good a shape is the body and frame and all that in?
Well, the frames on those were paper thin to start with. The body itself is really good. I mean, it needs cap corners. That's about it.
I mean, if it's solid and in decent shape, I'd try and keep it original. I mean, it'd be a cool build. Be a sweet project build.
Original is it's got a 3-speed column shift transmission.
Ooh.
I like driving a 3 on the tree, but there's no overdrive, and so it's not really good for modern highways. Yeah, not practical. I've got the 5-speed I could put into it. I mean, rebuilding the 3-speed would not be too terrible, but there's another one. I haven't decided which way I want to go with it.
I mean, that'd be where to start. Decide if it's something you're going to use a lot, drive a lot, go longer distances, then put the 5-speed in, 4-wheel drive conversion. I mean, it's got to be relatively simple on that.
It's leaf spring front.
There you go.
But
So it's not going to be too bad. But at the same time, if you're, occasional driving, just around town, not really long distance, I'd keep it original.
Yeah.
I mean, something like that can't be a very common truck.
They're more common than you'd think, but they're getting up to the point where if I had to go buy one again, I probably couldn't afford it.
Gotcha.
It's been in the family a long time. It was my dad's truck. He gave it to me a number of years ago.
Nice.
And so, I don't know. We'll have to see on that. So
I'd take it out, evaluate everything really closely, and just kind of go from there.
you might see it show up here pretty soon.
Sounds good.
Once a couple of these other vehicles are out of here that are already bought and paid for, but the people haven't picked up yet. So
Yeah.
But all right, well, man, is there anything else you want to talk about, or do you want to procrastinate on the ending here too?
Either or. I can go either way.
Yeah, okay. Almost forgot. We did not do a trivia.
No, we did not.
Now, we do need a correction on the trivia from episode 16 that we did, and we're recording. This is episode 18?
Sure.
Okay.
I think.
Episode 16, we did not, or we said that they needed to go to Twitter, and they needed to tag us on Twitter, but we said @Wheelin'.
Oh, yeah.
That would not get to us to do it that way. They would actually have to tag us @Wheelin' Radio, no G. And so I think, to be fair, we need to extend the one from episode 16.
Yeah,
so,
I think that was kind of my bad anyways.
well, both of us, I didn't really know, but why don't we extend it? And,
Sounds good.
Should we tell them the question again, or should we make them listen to 16 again?
I don't remember the question.
All right, well, then I'll remind you.
Yeah, sounds good.
The Jeep Grand Wagoneer had a cheaper 4-door model
Yep.
that did not have wood grain siding. What was it called?
Sounds
And you
good.
said that we were going to give away 3 decals.
Sounds good.
So it's the same question, but what you need to do is you need to say @Wheelin' Radio on Twitter, it was the, and then put your answer.
I like it.
And that's all you need to do. Just tag us.
Sounds simple.
And so, real simple one. First 3, we'll send you a decal.
Sounds good.
To do it right. Lastly, we just want to remind you again, we did talk about it at the beginning of the episode. We have Wheels in the Woods coming up September 28th. That is like a parking lot show, but it's not a parking lot. It's out in the woods, beautiful wooded area. It's called Foxfire Farm. And you can go out there, and it's a lot of fun. We're there from about 10 to 4 that day. We're going to have a couple different events. Speaking of which, I think we're doing a Power Wheels race for the kids.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that is going to be a technical race. It is not going to be a speed race. So you can show up with your hopped up Power Wheels, but it's going to be about technical. Like, they're going to have to go through a course and not hit certain cones and things like that. So going to be a ton of fun for the little kids.
I like it.
So bring your Power Wheels out with you, with your kids. There's no extra charge. Once you're in the event, when you're there at Wheels in the Woods, there's no extra charge to compete. And we're also going to have an RC rock crawling race for anybody that wants to bring their RC cars.
I like it.
So, I think that's about it.
Yeah. And for more information on that, you can go to themora.org or facebook.com/themora museum.
Yeah, there's also a event page if you actually just put into Facebook Wheels in the Woods.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, it's an event
cool.
page, and they can just find it on there, and you can say
Sweet.
you're interested in going. So, John, do your thing.
Thanks for listening, and have a good one, everybody.